Welcome to Inside the Skev, and I'm your host, Aaron Maslansky. Today we're here with the owners of Sketchbook Brewery, which is based in Evanston and now opening up in Skokie. So they're true Skevinston with combining the two. So today we welcome Shawn Decker and Cesar Marron, and thanks so much for being here.
Yeah, great to be here.
Great to be here. Yeah.
Thank you. So you guys, what is so different? What do you do at Sketchbook that's different than any other brewery in the area?
It sounds like a trick question. I don't know.
What makes you special?
We make everyone happy.
Yeah.
Oops. Did I set myself up?
I would say, what we do is what a lot of other people do, I think, in a lot of ways. I think, though, that I wouldn't claim to be unique in this, but I think one of the things that is a little rare is to find a brewery that is as, I would use the word organic as we are, because we didn't start with a big, batch of capital. We didn't start with a couple of business partners who had been in the industry before. We started as homebrewers and people who love to make beer and who live here, and recruited a bunch of community and members to join our brewery, and kind of had this vision. And it started super small as a true community-based brewery, literally, that's how small it was, and that's who came. And then it kind of got out of control. I would put it.
You went viral?
But a lot of breweries don't start that way. A lot of breweries start with a lot of money and a big space and a sort of build it and they will come kind of attitude. And we started very small with a really small kind of goal and specific community in mind. And we've been growing ever since, and it's all been very organically. And this is the biggest, growth move we've done. This is the one that we're currently in right now, for sure.
So right now you're growing in two places. You're growing in Evanston, and you're opening up a new facility in Skokie. Is that correct?
Yeah. I was going to add to what Shawn said. I think we also, what we wanted out of the, when we started the brewery was to actually create a space for for us to share, what we're making, which is beer. Mm-hmm. That was easy for the community to get to, create a community space, basically. So as opposed to creating a brewery. We did, obviously. The brewery was part of it. And that's, I believe, what, we did very successfully, and couldn't have done it without our neighbors, our community, our customers, been growing since the very beginning, and growing very slowly, as Shawn mentioned, organically. As painful as it is, and then waiting for the right moment to expand and find a place that we did find, as opposed to going somewhere far just because we could have a big brewery. We never really wanted a big brewery. We wanted to kind of continue this community space, a place for people to come and enjoy what we do.
People are so excited. But one of the things that you guys have, is you have members, right?
Right.
So talk about that. What does that mean?
So when we first started, we had enough money to kind of put together a pretty modest brew system, and there was an awful lot of DIY involved in kind of building out this space. And, we didn't have big budgets for marketing, and we didn't have deep pockets for, even kind of prepaying for all the materials that you need to make beer. Beer is a fairly kind of money-intensive business because of the amount of stuff you have to spend before you have anything you can drink. And so one of our kind of strategies for that, we had a really successful Kickstarter at the beginning of the process, which really helped. And we kind of leveraged that a little bit to start what we call a community-supported brewery membership. And essentially what that is you're going to purchase growler fills, 6 months or a year's worth, 1 or 2 a month, beer untasted in the future. So you're basically going to pay up front for your beer as part of this membership. We'll also throw in parties and various other kinds of things that are special for just our members.
Wow!
But in the beginning, that was particularly important because we hadn't really made a lot of beer other than our homebrew. And so, for those initial people, they really actually, many of them had never tasted our beer. So it was simply the idea of a local brewery is what they were investing in at that point.
It's amazing how much you got the community invested in your company, and people love it. And I think that it's a good case study for how to get people interested,
Yes.
with making your love, your passion happen.
Right.
Did you have inspiration from somebody? Did someone give you guidance on that?
We did. I can't say, can't take credit for being the first. Definitely not the first. Our friends at Beguile Brewing Company that had started about, I want to say 1 or 2 years before us.
Yeah, I would say 2 years probably.
And I was actually one of the members there. My wife bought me a membership at
Wow.
Beguile, so they had the same thing. So just love the idea. They are also situated in a similar location like us in Ravenswood. So a lot of neighbors around it, a lot of people, very communal, very community based. So that was a slam dunk. It was like, no, we got to do this. And then what Shawn mentioned, which is, we need to make some money to be able to, or get some money to be able to make beer.
Sure.
Yeah.
Need capital.
And also the situation of when we started, which now it's interesting. 3 years ago, everyone that came for a tour would know. It's like, oh, yes, the bar was right here at the brewery, right? But nowadays, people know us from the tap room, from Chicago Avenue. So we have to remind or teach them that we started in the alley, where you'd come in on a Thursday after 4 o'clock to come get your samples and your growler filled. There was no selling of pints at that time. So the growler was essential to our business at that moment. Yeah.
It really got you going. So at this point, you guys are. It's seems to be a very successful business. And do you have? So now you're moving to Skokie. Are you getting support from Skokie? Were they very excited to have you come in?
So correction there, we're expanding to Skokie.
Right.
We're not moving.
Right. Correct.
Yeah, and,
Correct.
and,
Thank you.
and probably important to kind of segue to that particular conversation is, we're actually also expanding in Evanston, so we're expanding our tap room there.
Right.
And we're adding, we're sort of tripling the amount of space and quadrupling the amount of seating. So our tap room has been so tiny and so overcrowded for so long that that's one important part of this expansion is actually the Evanston part of it. Mm-hmm. And to kind of tie it to our conversation just a moment ago, it's interesting when we went for this expansion and we opened the tap room, back after the days of being just in the brewery. We kind of had expected perhaps that the whole CSB thing would kind of, fizzle out a little bit. It's going to become more like a conventional tap room now, where people go get pints, and maybe the whole beer-to-go thing is not such a big deal. But in fact, it was the opposite. We went from about 150 members up to roughly 400 members over the point of doing that tap room, the initial tap room. And then to kind of reemphasize that point, we did another Kickstarter when we were doing the taproom expansion right now. And this was largely based around things like sound absorption, good audio system for doing music, more money for seating, local mural artists to do decoration, a lot of things that were really plantings inside the brewery in the new tap room. A lot of things that were designed to make it a really wonderful community space where it was easy to have conversation, it was easy to feature local musicians, etc. And that Kickstarter doubled down, raised twice as much as we'd initially asked for. So there was once again, there's incredible community support for all of those things still, and this is in our Evanston location. So,
in things that you did in the past, did it have anything to do with this, with getting community involved and in your work previous to owning a brewery?
Not for me.
Yeah,
I'm an artist, and I do a lot of public art, and certainly PR and things like that are a part of it. But this is really pretty different. It's a very different feeling. I would say that we were kind of in a couple of different generations between Cesar and I, and we're both longtime, families that are longtime, Evanston residents. Our kids have gone through the school systems or are in the school systems. Mm-hmm. So we personally just know a lot of people, and have connections to a lot of people. So that is certainly one starting point for, all of the community connections that we've made. So
that's amazing.
We live here, yeah.
You're part of the fabric.
Right.
Yeah. And, I think one of the interesting things is that you don't have TVs in the tap room.
Yeah.
And, it's just, obviously that was intentional. Mm-hmm. And do you think that you've gotten a lot of feedback from people that they like it without having the TVs there?
We have, yes. And that's that. I thought at the beginning, like, well, we're going to do this. I prefer it that way. Mm-hmm. I'm one of those where if there's a TV, I will not even watch it, but my eyes just look at it.
Sure.
It draws yourself to it. And our space was at the beginning very small as well, so there was not even a way to put something in there that wouldn't just take half of the space. So we were definitely going to continue that, and what we noticed from doing surveys and whatnot is that was the one of the big things was, can you keep that? Can you please not put TVs in there?
Yeah. It's funny. I was just, both of us have obviously been frequenting other tap rooms and checking out their design and their vibe and everything like that for a while now. And I went specifically to a tap room that some of our designers had designed, and they didn't have TVs, but they did have an info monitor, over the bar that kind of would keep flashing up menus and events and things like that. And it was so interesting. Even that, it's amazing how it keeps pulling your eye. Every time it changes, you're forced to kind of almost look at it reflexively.
It's human nature.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, and so it's funny. Even if it's not an overt TV, even kind of video displays of information are amazingly distracting, I find. So I think we're going to kind of stick to what we know works and what our community wants, which is none of that stuff. Yeah.
Have you ever thought about having little lockers when you come in to put your phone away? Because that's the same thing.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know if people would do that.
And then we'd be standing there with our phones probably,
right.
And making everyone mad. Yeah,
exactly. That's funny.
Yeah,
there was one of our customers the other day I saw had a little projector behind his iPhone. So he was projecting the image onto the counter. And I was like, "What's that?" He's like, "Oh yeah, I can project this onto the wall."
So he brought his own TV.
Yes,
that's amazing.
We have a certain number of Cubs fans and sports fans, et cetera, who really wish we were, putting sports on. But I think that's if we get a request for televisions, it's usually around that.
Correct.
And we just, I would say that's a small portion of our clientele. And there's plenty of places around that they can go watch a game if they want to. So that's
course.
Cool. Yeah.
And I mean, some of the things that you have or are going to be having is like trivia, live events for music, and
we were having music, and it got so crowded in there that the musicians were taking up a quarter of the space, and there was no room, no seats. There wasn't even room to stand often. So we finally had to just stop for a while, and now that we have enough seating and space, we can start again. So
that's great.
Yeah.
What do you think makes Chicago Avenue so special now? Because there's so many cool things on that street, and I remember, it used to be car dealerships and just kind of run down.
Yeah.
But it's got a really great vibe now, right?
Yeah. I don't know. It's it's a raw sort of slightly Brooklyn-esque kind of feel to it. That I think is really pretty attractive. It's just got I don't know. It's got a wider variety of things. It's kind of a bit more real.
Yeah.
And feeling and I don't know.
I think I've been in Evanston for just 10 years. So I remember when I moved here, my first time on Chicago Avenue, the Walgreens wasn't there yet, the new one. Mm-hmm. The Salvation Army was still around the corner.
Right.
Even 10 years ago, at least my first recollection of it was like this kind of looked like a little dump. Yeah, that one corner looked like a dump. There was actually things dumped on the sidewalk.
I remember.
So
That's some of the Brooklyn-esque part of it. Yeah.
So I don't know. I mean, I would say I attribute a lot of that to the buildings that came up attracting a lot more people in the area. The train, obviously, right?
Sure.
The coffee shops, the restaurants, the brewery. Like people want to stay around there. We have been seeing people that come from from neighborhoods in Chicago up.
Yeah.
And sometimes silly things like, because I can find parking. Even though a lot of people in Evanston will not agree with me, but you can still find parking.
It's better than the city.
Yes,
Oh, yeah.
exactly.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Yeah. And you guys also participate like in Custer Street Fair, right?
Mm-hmm.
And has that been a great way to build your brand?
Sure.
It has, yeah. We actually participated in that before we even opened the tap room or the brewery as homebrewers.
Oh, wow.
You asked before, like, if we were in fundraising or doing things with people, and we no, but we did before we opened the brewery. We're still home brewing. We would go around and talk to people, and if there was a fundraiser that we could bring our product just for free, well, let's be honest. Beer attracts people.
Sure. And
we get those letters every day. Like, so that's it was our first foray into Coaster Fair. Was just on a little booth next to a food vendor, just handing out free samples.
It worked.
Yeah.
So, at the Evanston space is great. I'm excited to see that expand. And then, you've got this expansion in Skokie on Main Street. And what do you envision for that space?
So one of our big issues was our production amounts. We have a tiny, tiny little brewery. And we had gotten to a point where in order to kind of meet our needs, we were having to contract brew beer at other locations where, and we could find really good places to do this, but it's very difficult. For one thing, you have to pay them a lot of money, and the scheduling and just the logistics of it are really demanding. And it's funny, in some ways, being a really small brewery is great, but, you get none of the economies of scale that you get by being a kind of slightly larger brewery. And it makes it a challenging thing business-wise when you don't get any of that. Your only resort, quite frankly, to really be particularly profitable would be just to raise prices up quite a bit on what you sell. And we just, because of our community orientation, we really didn't want to do that. And
sure.
So this is a better solution for us. And we've been looking for a building for a long time now. It's hard to find a building that's the right size for us. There are these gigantic, commercial buildings available that would be way bigger than what we need. So we need to find a smallish commercial building with a tall roof, basically, which is the challenge for the brewery. So we were so fortunate to finally find that building over in Skokie. As I said earlier, not too far from us, so that we can kind of travel back and forth, but it's going to meet those production needs now. So a big part of the Skokie move is that brewery, which will let us bring all of this contract brewing that we're doing back home again, allow us to kind of get some economies of scale of brewing at a slightly larger scale, while still keeping our small brewery in Evanston for special stuff. And then, then obviously we can add the tap room on top of that as well, which Skokie is very excited about. So,
yeah.
Yeah.
And you plan to have events there as well, and things very similar to the Evanston tap room.
Yeah,
Yes.
There's a bit more space there, so it's easier to have a kind of separate event space and be able to do private events easier and music and public events, all kinds of things. So
That's fantastic. And when do you expect that to be open?
Yeah, we're hoping that we'll start production in March, April, and then summer 2020 we would open the tap room.
That's great.
So if all the stars align.
it's a complicated project, I can tell you. Yeah, we're just we're drowning in details at the moment. So yeah.
Oh yeah. No, I used to work for a developer contractor, so I understand the complexity, and the brewery is something different.
Yeah.
So, But I think the location's great over there on Main Street because you're right by the bike trails and just ride your bike over.
Yeah, it's smack between the CTA line and the bike trail, literally on one either side of the building are those two things. So we'll definitely have a little pull off for bikes and a bike rack there for sure. We'll have an outdoor patio.
Wow.
And you can walk up from the CTA station there pretty easily.
Yeah.
And there will be parking.
There will be parking.
Yeah.
And now that we've been involved with the building in Skokie, we've learned so much about all the development that's happening in downtown Skokie, which we are basically 3 blocks away, more or less. That building is. Ignite, which is next door. The Yellow Line, which is basically next door to us. So it's really exciting. It's exactly, in some ways, it's what we've been able to accomplish here in Evanston, in a much more crowded area and a much smaller space. Where I hope that's kind of like what we can create there as well, where people can still walk to the brewery, to the tap room. There will be parking, obviously, but which is nice. But it's not such a far away industrial area where you have to, get an Uber all the time. You can walk to. There's a neighborhood around.
Yeah.
So that's exciting.
From the tech center there, for instance, that whole campus, it's a super easy walk.
They could just go down the trail.
Yeah, exactly,
Mm-hmm.
exactly, and same for downtown. So it's we're definitely very tight. I mean, it's pretty amazing. And I think we didn't quite realize this when we were shopping around, but Skokie is going crazy. It's like the amount of development in Skokie is just kind of mind-boggling. So it's pretty amazing.
Well, they've been working on that for years to get the downtown Skokie going, and I have an urban planning background, and I interned for the village in 2003. And part of my job was to go around downtown and survey what each property was, and they were coming up with their downtown plan.
Yeah.
And they really wanted to reinvigorate it. So now it's, how many years? 16 years later, and seeing the fruits of the labor, it's from multitude of people. It's very cool. And the tech park, Ignite, the train, and the hotel that they're talking about, and then the high rise at Lincoln and Oakton. I mean, all these things are great.
Yeah. And some of those are really big projects. Yeah.
And I'm excited to see it, and I'm excited to see what happens in the future around where you guys are going to be, because I think it'll change things too.
Yeah.
Now, how many people are currently working at your facility in Evanston, and how many do you think will be, and how many in Skokie? Because it seems like you're bringing a lot of jobs to the area.
Well, we have roughly, depending on how you count it, it's a mixture of part-time and full-time, but we have basically a dozen people these days that we employ. About half of those are full-time and about half are part-time. But most of our part-timers are work generally about 30 hours a week, so they're pretty solid employees with a real regular schedule. Obviously, this taproom expansion, we're going to require some more front-of-the-house staff there to handle a bigger taproom in Evanston. And then, obviously, a lot of our production staff will move from Evanston to Skokie and back and forth, using both spaces. But I imagine we'll add at least 1, maybe 2 more people to the production staff. And then we obviously need a whole new front-of-house taproom manager and bartenders for Skokie. So that'll be another 4 people probably.
That's great.
It's probably another 6 people, all told. Yeah.
And you guys also work with your wives too, right?
Yeah.
So what are their roles, and how's that work?
So my wife Amy, she's a taproom manager.
Okay.
She does a lot of the event coordination there at Sketchbook as well. It's always work at home, at work. It's always family time. It's always work time.
I think it's funny because, both Amy and Alice, who's my partner, kind of suffered through 5 years of our home brewing and been busy on weekends and kind of, our fixation with kind of, like this stuff. And I think they were both excited about starting the brewery, but they were also a little bemused, I think, about it. They were kind of, and I don't think they really felt like, I think they didn't feel like they owned the project at the beginning. I think it was kind of our thing,
Well, it's almost like a hobby how it started.
Yeah, it was, exactly.
It was.
And I think as the community developed, they both got really pulled in terms of what it was. And their involvement really ramped up. And so Amy is our taproom manager and is involved in, in essential day-to-day operations and decision-making and management. Alice does a lot of planning and PR and all of that kind of work and communications. So they're both super involved now in like every aspect of the business, really. So it's been an interesting kind of shift as 4 years worth of shifting, I would say. Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah.
And in terms of like marketing, I mean, who came up with like your logo and the how things look on the on the bottles or cans and things like that? And how has that shifted? I mean, do you have somebody doing that professionally, or do you do it?
Yeah.
Or?
I don't do it. We initially, a good friend of Allison and mine, Joe Taylor, who's an Evanston resident and designer, did our original logo. And it was, at that point, we were doing growlers. It looked good on a growler. It's this one right
This
here.
is the very first shirt we made.
This is a vintage shirt. Yeah, you're right. That is really old. Yeah, and 4 years, cool. Really old. Yeah, listen to us. But anyway, as we moved towards canning, we were sort of ramping up in a much bigger distribution. We were going with distributors, and we came to a realization that initial logo, while it worked really great in a lot of context, wasn't really so good for packaging. And so we went with Michael Kaiser and Good Beer Hunting, who is also a major kind of beer blogger and does podcasts and all kinds of things, has a design firm. And they were the ones that came up with the full circle, half circle kind of SB design in our initial can packaging. And then one of our employees, who's a beer geek, bona fide beer geek, also is a designer who went to design school and is quite marvelous at kind of coming up with quick off the cuff kind of designs for cans and things like that.
They look beautiful.
Yeah. This is great. So this is Beth Rogers, and she basically whips together designs, and we all kind of look through them and run through a bunch of different versions of these, and we essentially use the template that Good Beer Hunting gave us for all of that. But a lot of the kind of one-off cans in particular, that would be Beth's kind of work on those.
And where do you talk about distribution? Where is your beer being sold?
So our beers are being sold mostly in the Chicagoland area, just Illinois, to be honest, and then only around the Chicagoland area. We have 5 distributors that cover the region, and as you get farther from our area here, you can see less and less. But the last one, Heartland Distributing, we've seen now our beer in places like Bloomington, so kind of far from us, but the reality is right now we don't have enough volume. And like Shawn said before, we've been hurting to actually keep enough beer in the market, enough beer in our tap room. So this...
Great problem.
Yeah, exactly.
Everyone says that, but it's still a problem.
It's still a problem, but it's
we hope to be able to turn that around, starting later next year, and then at least have a little more distribution. But right now it's just Chicagoland, yeah.
So is it all different grocery stores you can find today?
No, it's actually very hard to get into some of the chains. We are in a few chains. And packaging helped tremendously with that. The liquid has to be great, right? It has to be good, great, because otherwise, if it doesn't sell, they're not going to buy it again.
Right.
But just even to get there, it's a process that took us almost a whole year to develop the program. So we're since when? Since April or May 2019. Yeah. We're at Mariano's and Jewel, which were the latest additions in terms of chain placement. We were selling our product at Whole Foods for a while. We actually started packaging because Whole Foods was interested. In 12-ounce bottles. We got a 27-year-old bottling machine that had been in several different breweries in the Chicagoland area, and worked on it. A lot of DIY again, made it work. And essentially, we were doing that because Whole Foods wanted to be wanted to have our product, and that kind of kept growing. And there's a few other, smaller chains as well that we have our product, Heinen's and some others around.
And are you at different bars throughout the area too?
We are. We're in a lot of, especially in the Evanston, Skokie, Glenview. We're in a lot of different bars on draft for sure. Yeah,
that's great. What are your plans for the future? Do you want to have more locations? Do you want to distribute more?
Well, I mean, with a bigger facility, my immediate plan for the future is not have to wake up at 5 a.m. Yeah. But yeah, we'll definitely have more product distributed. We'll have to, right now people come to us. Do you have product? More or less. That will definitely switch a little bit. We'll have to do a little more sales out there, and I think see where it goes. I mean personally, I don't think more locations is going to be where we go, but we don't. 2017 was the taproom year in Chicago, where every brewery that didn't have a taproom, not every brewery, but lots of major breweries that didn't have a taproom, and smaller ones, they created a taproom. Fantastic taprooms, because customers want to go to the source.
Yeah.
So there's that.
I would say too that we're gonna, once we kind of get this facility built, there's going to be certainly a lot of integration and consolidation and making sure we've got everything working well there. Gathering everything that we've been doing at all of these other breweries back home again, and that's going to take some energy, I think. But I think also kind of continuing this organic growth. We've been very much kind of responsive to things that have come to us and to the community. So I think as we enter Skokie, we're dealing with a similar but different community than here in Evanston. Mm-hmm. We will likely do exactly that same community-supported brewery program there, and we will start forging ties like we have here in Evanston to local faith-oriented groups, local not-for-profits, all the various kinds of things that we've done here in Evanston. We'll do that same thing in Skokie and really get to know that community well. And the taproom's growth then will probably kind of work and be very based around that community as well. Mm-hmm. So I think we'll do a lot of the same things we did here in terms of kind of developing a second kind of local, location.
Second headquarters.
Yeah,
in a way.
Not so much a headquarters, but just it's another community, and so we want to be part of that community, and so that will be kind of a second nexus for kind of community-based things. I have a feeling our headquarters is going to be in some midpoint between those two breweries in the car with a bunch of notepads in the passenger seat is in a cell phone. I think that's probably what
just going up and down Main Street.
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
just meet me at a gas station.
Yeah,
exactly.
McCormick.
That's funny. So where can people find your current location, and where can they find you online and everything?
So it's just, www.sketchbookbrewing.com is the website. You can, you'll find links to Instagram and to Facebook, feeds there as well. Everything can really be gotten from that website. It's pretty simple to do. Mm-hmm. The Evanston Taproom is at 821 Chicago Avenue. It's right across the street from the Chicago CTA, the Main Street CTA stop. So it's really easy to find, right by the metro stop as well. So that's really quite convenient.
So you could leave your car at home and
absolutely.
Have a few drinks.
Yeah, that's our preferred thing for you to do is to take the train. Yeah.
Yes.
And then the Skokie location is at 4901 Main Street. It's sandwiched right between the Skokie Swift Tracks and the bike trail that's there. We are working right now to get a coming soon sign up in front of that. We don't have it yet, but shortly you should be able to see a coming soon Sketchbook Brewing Company sign out in front of that building. So, yeah.
Well, we can't wait to see it actually open. And
yeah.
I tell you, a lot of people I know who live in Skokie are so excited. And, people have been clamoring for this for so long to have like these cool types of venues to go to. Uh-huh. And it's great to see. So I'll definitely be a supporter, and everyone who listens, check it out. Go to the one in Evanston and go to Skokie when it opens too. So, but I appreciate you both being on. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. Thanks so much for listening to this latest episode of Inside the Skev. I hope you enjoyed it. Just remember to subscribe. And if you need any assistance for your real estate needs in the Chicagoland area, or specifically Skokie, Evanston, or Skevinston, feel free to reach out to me. I am a realtor at Dreamtown Realty in Evanston. You can email me at aaron@skevinston.com or go to my website, aaronmaslyansky.com. Thanks so much for listening.